Hello there, planner friends. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining. Today is the second video in a series that I'm doing talking about my planner plans for 2023. So I'll link the first video in the card above so you can watch that if you haven't. And you may be thinking, wait, this says 2021 on it, but you're going to talk about 2023. Yeah, I'm going to get to that and talk to you a little bit about what I'm doing. But the purpose of today's video is to talk to you about one of the big changes I'm making for 2023. In my last video, I walked you through Matilda and what I am doing in Matilda, which if you don't know, Matilda is my personal rings planner, my everyday carry. I showed you a little bit about what the minor tweaks that I made in Matilda for 2023. Most importantly, just changing up the inserts I'm using for weekly and daily planning. That's really the biggest change. So you can watch that in the video posted if you like to see the details of that and hear about the insert that I created, all of that kind of stuff. This video is going to be talking about what I'm calling my life planner. And so if you have heard about Hobonichis before, one of the things they call this a life book. And so that's what I'm really taking that to heart with the Hobonichi this year. I haven't used a Hobonichi in a couple of years, and I think the first one I might have used was in 2016 or 2017, and I tried to make it work as a planner and used one off and on for 3 or 4 years, but a couple of things stopped me in using it as a planner. One was the size, the A5 size, which I have a love-hate relationship with in terms of having the space, but also the portability. And the other was just feeling like it was way more than I needed, and in terms of planning. And I'm a rings girl, and I always felt like I had to reserve pages in here. I was afraid I was going to run out of pages. So I would tend to not write things in a bound book versus in rings I scribble away because I know I can just stick another piece of paper in. So anyway, I was really wanting to, I missed not having something archival in terms of Hobonichi. Last year I didn't do anything. I didn't use a weeks. I didn't use I used a weeks for, I don't know, a couple months, but not consistently throughout the year. And I missed having that. Now I do archive my rings inserts, and I'll include the video here on how I archive my rings inserts. So it's not about that. I just wanted a book. I wanted everything in one place. And I started watching a few people on Instagram who were using Hobonichis in what was a different approach to me, and for some reason something clicked in my mind, and I will link the person's Instagram account that was most inspirational to me. I think it's Claire from Online. I think that's what her Instagram handle is. But for some, like I said, for some reason, something about what she was doing and a few other people were doing similar to her, something just clicked for me. Like this, I don't have to make this a planner. I don't have to try to duplicate everything I'm doing in my rings and put it into here. I can just make this be like a catch-all, whatever I want. So then I really started just kind of sitting with that and thinking about, okay, what would I want to do? How would I want to do it? And that's where this 2021 planner came in, because I had bought it in 2021. I was going to use it for work. And you can see I tried to use it as a planner. This was 21. And then I thought about using it for work. And so at some point this transitioned into being a work planner. Somewhere in here, this was when I was using it as a planner. And then somewhere in here, it got transitioned to being a work planner. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, here. You can see then I was using it for work planner. And then I just put it back on the shelf and I wasn't doing anything. So I thought, well, I've got this thing. in December, I can play in it and fiddle around and figure out without feeling like I'm wasting anything, because otherwise it's just being wasted, just sitting on the shelf, not being used, right? So why not use this now, then, December, and figure out what I wanted. Also, one of my goals for this year, I don't do resolutions, but one of my goals for this year is to try to be more intentional about how I spend my free time, and pursuing things that bring me joy and help me to center and focus and relax and just be in the moment, stay off of social media and scrolling mindlessly, and spending time doing things that, really, I guess, bring peace to me. And one of the things that I want to do is paint more. So I had this big conversation with my daughter about my painting and how I just felt like I wasn't very good at it, and that's why I didn't do it. And she said, well, Mom, you're not going to get better if you don't practice. And so I decided that one of the things that I wanted to try to do this year is to paint every day, even if it's terrible and I don't ever want to look at it again. At least I've done something. So in December, I just opened this up to a random page and I just started painting. So I painted this, and I painted these chickens. And while I was in the middle of painting this, we were talking about what we wanted to order for takeout for dinner. So I just literally took my Sharpie and started writing our dinner order over here. And this is kind of when things clicked for me. And I was like, oh, this is what I can do next year in the Hobonichi. I don't have to be like so organized and prescriptive about how I use it. I can make the daily pages be whatever I want. If I want to paint something one day, I can paint something. If I want to jot notes down about something, I can do that, or whatever. So I just started flipping, and I kept this by my chair in the living room, and I just would flip to it and start painting or coloring or whatever, just to try to give my my brain, and see, I started sketching something out here. I don't know if you can see it, but just to give my brain some exercise and to practice. So that inspired me to purchase this this Hobonichi. Now this is a cousin also, and historically I've gravitated towards using the Avec because they're thinner and easier, but I really wanted this to capture everything for the year. So I purposely bought the Cousin. I bought the English version because I was curious about the English version, and I want this to be the whole year in one place. So this is the great experiment for 2023. Will I keep this up or will I abandon it? We'll find out. So let me talk a little bit about how I've got these flagged to kind of tell you a little bit about how I plan to use this book in 2023. On this page here, my plan is to highlight when we travel, after the fact, when we traveled, because I want to see how many times we travel this year. One of the things that my husband and I have talked about is we want to focus more on experiences and getting out and doing things. And so travel may be a ride in the mountains that's an hour away from us, or travel may be, a more elaborate trip somewhere. But I just want to be able to look back at the end of the year and go, wow, we were, we did a lot of traveling, or wow, we didn't really do as much as we thought we did. So that's what this page is going to be. On the overview pages here, my idea is either to have an annual tracker, things that I want to have a year at a glance view of, or an index of the dailies and things that I put on the daily pages. I haven't decided yet, but that's what I'm thinking about, but I have time. So we'll see how that works out. Then moving on to the monthlies, my plan here is to have the monthlies be a record of major events, whether that's things in our family, like, somebody's graduation, somebody's wedding, a baby being born, a big trip, a promotion, an award, whatever, major events here, whatever happened in the month, but also global. So for example, the Pope just died. So that would be something that I would make a note of here. And so I can have at a glance, by flipping through at the end of the year, all the big things that happened month by month in 2023. Also, I'm planning to try to use my fountain pens more. I've been using them a lot in the last few months in other places and just really enjoying them. So I want to keep track of the ink that I have in my fountain pens. I'm really bad about inking them and thinking, oh, I only have 3 or 4 pens, so I don't need to worry about it. And then I forget what I put in there. So I want to make a note of the inks that I have in my fountain pens when I re-ink them each month. I'm also going to include here the books that I'm reading. So I'll make a note of when I started a book or finished a book. And I'm thinking about using my Canon Ivy and printing a picture of the cover of the book and sticking it on the day of when I start or finish the book, so I can see at a glance when I start and finish. I haven't decided yet, but that's what my thought is. And then seasonal tasks that I do. So if you saw my my previous video where I was talking about Matilda, one of the things that I have in Matilda is a When Did I Last insert that I'm using for 2023. And so I was trying to figure out how I could reduce some of the bulk in my rings. And I thought, well, I could put this When Did I Last in here and have it in my Hobonichi, because that's not something I need to carry with me. It doesn't matter, you know, on a day-to-day basis when I clean the air conditioning filters last, but I could put it in here and have it at a glance. So those are the 4 things I'm going to do on the monthly pages. Then moving on to the weekly view, this is just like a beautiful blank slate to me. And historically what I've done, as you can see here, I'll just show you, when I use this as a planner, where's the weeklies? What I would do is I would have my tasks over here, I'd have my meals down here, and then this would just be time-bound stuff that I would have listed in here. And that is what I've always done in this weekly view. And so I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to get sucked into trying to use this as a planner. So I was trying to think of how could I use this in a different way so that I didn't get distracted and try to use it the way I've always done it. So what I'm going to do is things that are appointments that I need to remember, I'm going to put those down retroactively, like when we went to the doctor or when we had, you know, some other big appointment. So things that I feel like I need to keep track of, those will go here. I'm also going to include health information. So again, going back to my rings here, trying to figure out how to get rid of some of this bulk. If you'll remember from looking at that, I had this blood pressure tracker that I was using or was planning to use, and then a sleep tracker, a mood tracker, and a migraine tracker. And I thought, well, I could take those out of here and I could put them in here, and then I would have a big picture view as well. Now this is one of the things that I'm not sure if it's going to go here or if it's going to go here, because it would be nice to be able to see over a 6-month period of time the trends with the migraines and the trends with illness and sleep and things like that. So I'm trying to decide if I want to put it in this view or if I want to put it in this view. If you've done either one of those and you have some suggestions, I would love to hear about it in the comments. But that's another thing. So first, schedule an appointments that need to be recorded for posterity or memory, and then health. I'm also planning to track my blood pressure, and again, it could go on this page as well, but I think this would get really cluttered. But what I may do is use this older Hobonichi to mock some up and see what it looks like. The other thing that I was going to do is up here at the top where this little clear area is put the weather. And I'm not one to care about or track the day-to-day weather, like it rained on Thursday, but it was sunny on Friday, and it was 50 degrees on Thursday, and it was 70 degrees on Friday. I don't care about that. I'm thinking about things like, when did the hurricane come through? What days did we have a hurricane? Or if we had snow, which doesn't happen very often in the South, but when were the days we had snow, that kind of thing. So more like big weather occurrences. I want to keep track of those just for memory's sake. And then I'm also going to track in here movies and TV shows. So if we watched a movie or we started a TV series or a premiere of a TV series is coming out, like the new season of Outlander, for example, I would put that in here so that number one, I'd remember when the premieres are, and number two, I could see when did we start something, when did we finish something. And then the other thing, again, pulling out of my rings, is the when did I last? So that could either go here, like I said, the seasonal task, or it could go here. And I'm leaning towards putting it in the monthly, but I may put it in the weekly. Still to be determined. At this point, nothing's been written in this book yet. It's only January 4th. It's okay. I have time to figure it out. Then moving out of the weeklies into the dailies at the beginning of each month. So before that, at the beginning here, you have this turning the page to a new year. I'm still debating on what I want to put here. If I had a word for the year, I would probably do some type of vision board or something around my word of the year, but I don't. But I'm still thinking about potentially doing this as a vision board about, you know, what kind of things do I want to think about or focus on in 2023. Right now it's blank. We'll see. The beginning of each month, there's this blank page, and my plan is to do what I call the ing tracking. So like reading, thinking, feeling, enjoying, eating, drinking, watching, all those things. I'm going to make a list. I have to figure out which ones I want to track on a regular basis, but I'm going to use this page as the ing. Also thinking about using this as a monthly reflection at the end of the month. So maybe leaving part of this page blank and adding some journaling at the end of January about how the month was, highs and lows, that kind of thing. And then the other thing, I saw this today, that's why it's in a different ink, because I saw this today and thought it was a really cool idea somebody had done. They did a monthly self-portrait. And it was just a little tiny, you know, square self-portrait every month. Now, this person did it in a bullet journal, and so she had a 2-page spread, and she had the whole year on the 2-page spread. And I was thinking about doing that in the back of the Hobonichi, and then I thought it might be cool to have that, you know, maybe down in the corner of the page, and it would be another place for me to practice my watercolors. So 3 things will be on this page if I can figure out how to fit it all in here, and I think I can. One is the ings, the things I'm doing, journaling and reflection of the month, and then the monthly self-portrait. That's what will be on this page. Then on the daily pages, my ideas here are to have this partitioned off in some way, but not the same way every day. I want this to be very fluid. I want this to be very much in the moment, what I feel like doing. If the page is empty, it's fine. If the page is filled, it's fine. If I end up missing a few days and have blank pages, I'll go back and write something in there later that may or may not be related to that day. I'll just use it as a blank journal page for whatever, painting or whatever I feel like. But my plan is on the daily pages to have reflections, so reflective journaling about the day, things I may want to remember or make note of, memorabilia that I may want to tape down. So if we try a new bottle of wine and I really like it, I may tape down the wine label and talk about that wine. Or if we go somewhere, I may save the tickets from something that we do and stick it in here and journal. This is where I really want this to be the life book part. Photographs, use my Canon Ivy, stick in pictures, use my watercolors and do some painting, include quotes. My daughter has a notepad file on her phone where she just keeps a running list of quotes from random things that, you know, the family says that makes her laugh. And I just think it's the coolest thing. And she opens it up from time to time and pulls up quotes and remembers different situations the quote came from, and it's so much fun. So I want to capture that kind of thing here in my Hobonichi. Scripture that speaks to me, just general randomness. So if I try a new tea or a new coffee or wine or whatever and I really like it, I want to write about it here and share about it. Travel memories and book notes. So if I read a book, whether it's, you know, something nonfiction that I'm reading or learning about, or fiction that I'm enjoying, all of that kind of stuff. So just whatever the mood strikes me, that's what's going to go on the daily pages. And then finally, at the back, there are 8 pages of just blank grid. And then there's a whole bunch of other pages, which historically, in the past, in the Japanese version, I would just cover these up with things that I either printed out and printed out on Tomoe river paper and glue over this, or, you know, just grid paper. But since this is all in English, I didn't want to do that yet. So I haven't decided yet how I'm going to do this. This favorites, there are 12, so I may put like my favorite for each month, because that would be kind of cool. There's 12 there, so I can put one per month. It was my favorite. Your 100, I haven't decided. Somebody I saw said that they use this like a bucket list of things that they want to do or see, places they want to go, and it was fun for them to see how this changed over time from one year of Hobonichi to the next. So that may be what I use this for. And then this is favorite things, so I hadn't decided, because to me this could evolve a lot over the course of the year, so I don't know what I'll do there. And then there's words to remember, and a 365-day check-off sheet, which I don't know what that would be. Definitely not a no spend. That's not going to happen. And then addresses and gifts record. I don't know what I'll do with those, but there are 8 grid pages, and here's how I'm planning to use the 8 grid pages. One of my ideas was a bucket list, which if I use that my 100, then I don't have to use a grid page for that. So bucket list items, you know, see the pyramids in Egypt. It could be there. Another thing that I want to include in the back here is the list of the national parks and which ones I've been to, and then track if I get to go to any this year, and you know, maybe notes about it or whatever. So a national park list is another thing I want to put back here. The book log, movie log, and house projects, I want to take that out of Matilda and put it in here. So I'm thinking that that's what I'm going to use some of these grid pages for. And then that only took up 5 of my 8 pages, so I still had 3 that I thought I would just leave open for whatever comes up over the course of the year. And if I do the bucket list on the 100 page, then I have 4. So I've only identified half of what I'd use these for. And if you've ever done a bullet journal or anything like that, you know that this type of thing evolves over time. So I really don't want to like use up all the pages now and then be wishing that I had not done something, because I don't care about that in June like I did in January. So I'd rather be able to save a few to add new things that come up. I don't know that I would care about or do anything like Tombow pen tracker or ink swatches or watercolor paint or anything like that in the back here. I think if I did anything like that, I'd just use a blank page up here that I didn't leverage in a different way, or just do it in a completely different book. But anyway, that's very long-winded, but I thought I would walk you through what my plans were for my Hobonichi and how this differs from my planner, Matilda, and how I'm using her. But to me, the two of them will work together in a system. And as I start to set things up in here, a lot of the things that are in the back here will come out, and I'm hoping that that will then help Matilda to go on a little bit of a diet and not be quite so chunky, and be a little bit easier to carry around, but still allow me to track the things that are important to me and the things that I want to look at, you know, 6 months, a year from now. So let me know if you've ever done anything like this. Have you ever had a life book like the Hobonichi, or a bullet journal or something like that? And if so, how did you use it? How did this work? And I'm very interested to know, for those of you who maybe have used the Hobonichi in the past, if you have any recommendations or suggestions about, you know, where I should be tracking like this health stuff. Has it worked better for you here in the overview or in the weekly or monthly? Any suggestions that you have, I would love to hear about it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you coming to my channel, and stay tuned for more about my 2023 plans coming soon. Bye, everybody.